To our top story this morning then, and the 5 priorities set by the Prime Minister in January look set to fail as we approach the end of the year.
Let's take a look at them. 4, definitely in a mess. The economy is shrinking and the NHS wait times have hardly moved. But one promise is getting there, but what it's got to do with the Prime Minister, we're not sure. Inflation is falling.
However, the Prime Minister's pledge to stop the boats by sending asylum seekers to Rwanda is, as we all know, facing yet more difficulties and tearing the Conservative Party apart.
There are now reports certain airlines are refusing contracts to provide planes to send people to Rwanda in fear of reputational damage.
Well, joining us now is political commentator Andy Williams. Good morning to you, Andy.
Morning.
He has got a lot on his plate. He's not going to have much of a break, Rishi Sunak, this Christmas, is he? And you wonder, this whole Rwanda scheme, which Labour, we know, says is a gimmick, it's never going to get off the ground, is it? Especially as commercial airlines are reportedly saying this now.
It's a complete gimmick. It's not going to work. It's extremely expensive. They're talking about a maximum of 200 people a year being deported to Rwanda, even if it does become law. So putting to one side the sort of moral dimension of this, it's not practical, it's not workable, it's extremely expensive, and I think it's emblematic of a government that's completely failing on almost every level.
So no planes to Rwanda then. If it's 200 people a year, they could just hire a bus basically and bring them, couldn't they? Does it really matter?
Well, we're talking about £169,000 per person. That would be the cost of every single person if this does get off the ground. I think we've had 3 people in total deported to Rwanda so far. As I say, it's not workable at all. And we talked about the 5 pledges here, only one of which has been achieved. You said, Eamon, that's the one, the inflation pledge, that he had the least control over. I mean, that's not really in the gift of the Prime Minister to halve inflation. The other 4, stop the boats, not happening. None of these pledges are being met, and I think next year is, as you say, he's not going to have a very happy Christmas because he is in big trouble going into the new year.
And
There's nobody to blame but himself, has he? I mean, he set the targets, he set the standards.
Well, that's the problem, is if you do, and he said, judge me by these 5 pledges that I'm making. I think he said no excuses. Well, here we are. I mean, it's if your political strategy is, and this is the government's political strategy, that you're delivering, you're competent, judge me by my actions and by how we're delivering, well, it's not happening.
And so much time, focus, money and attention is being spent on this Rwanda plan, and yet there's no convincing evidence, is there yet, that that is the top priority for the electorate when it comes to which way they will vote? No,
absolutely. And Rishi Sunak and the government keep saying this is the public's top priority. Well, you can say it as much as you like, but actually the evidence suggests that that is not the public's top priority. As always, people's top priority is how much money do I have in my pocket? You know, cost of living crisis. People are really struggling. Lots of people are really struggling.
Although some people would say, you know, the NHS, we know that it's in a pickle. The waiting lists are so high. Some people would claim illegal migration has an impact on that or exacerbates it.
Well, I think, look, certainly population growth has an impact on public services. Now, my response to that would be you have to invest in public services, you have to invest in infrastructure. That is how you build an economy and a society that works. Actually, illegal migration is a very small proportion overall of population growth. Net migration is very high, but most of that is legal migration. So if you do have a problem with legal migration, there are other ways to fix it.
Silence. Yeah.
Well, you just think, well, where are the positives here for the government at the moment? Can we find any positives? We've already looked at inflation, which I think appears to be very much out of the Prime Minister's control, although he likes to claim the credit for it. Is there any other positives in all this?
Honestly, I think it's a really sticky situation. I mean, the government strategy at the moment is hope and wait until something falls out of the sky that saves them from what looks like a really, really, really bad election defeat. I'm really struggling to see the positives for them because they're 23 points behind in the polls. The economy is stagnant. On their own terms, net migration is very, very high. You know, living standards are low. Public services aren't doing brilliantly. I expect in the next few days we're going to have people stuck on trains and airports where things aren't working. So, no, I can't really find too many positives, I'm afraid.
I'll tell you what, we'll give you for 50 minutes or so to find something positive when you come back again.
I'll come back to you with a positive.
7 o'clock.